So we're moving on to the week 8 sequence in Light on Yoga today. And the new aspects of the sequence or the new poses are learning Veerabhadrasana 3 and also working with Artichondrasana. Those are the two new poses that get added into the mix of the poses that we've been working on for, well, actually 2 months now. The other thing that is added in that actually got added in week 6, but I forgot to do it, is doing a little bit of Ujjayi pranayama in Shavasana. And that's interesting to think about because normally we kind of separate pranayama practice off from our asana practice, but actually in those sequences in the back of the book, Mr. Iyengar has it there. And some of those sequences as we move along get really pretty intense. And my sister Christina was practicing a lot of the poses, big backward bending sequences that come later on. And she was talking to my teacher, Lori, about it, who she studies with. And Lori said, it's good to do those sequences as long as you're also doing the pranayama associated with it. And so that notion of kind of balancing our asana work with a bit of pranayama at the end is something also that Mr. Iyengar plants the seeds for early in those sequences. So that's where we are, and that's what we're going to be doing. So go ahead and sit in. We're going to continue to sit in. I pulled myself into Swastikasana, but I actually want to go back and do Sukhasana. So stretch your legs out in front of you. Spread your toes well, and spread them so much that you actually see that your quadriceps engage, and maybe you feel that your inner thighs hopefully also lift as well. Then the foot in Sukhasana should really stay like it is in Dandasana. So when you bend your right leg in and put it underneath your left knee, I'm just going to move it out to the side. My foot is still doing Dandasana. Okay, so all of the actions are basically standing pose actions, even though the leg is bent. And then I do the same thing with the opposite leg. I want to stay as much as possible on the little toe side of the foot. So how do you do that? Lots of ways. You extend from the inner knee through the inner heel, and then energetically pull your feet toward each other. And that actually plants the seeds for some work you might do later in arm balances like Bujapidasana. Really pull the feet against each other, and you should feel that your femur bones get a little firmer. There's like a response in your outer hips. And if you don't feel that, pull more. It's not that your feet are moving, but you're energetically doing this with your legs. So it's a pulling the feet toward each other so much that you feel something happening in the outer hips. You should also, when that happens, feel something happening in your top chest as well. And lengthen up through your side ribs. Roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades in, away from the neck, and into the center of the body and up a little bit so you feel your chest get nice and lifted and broad. Then close your eyes and fold your palms together at your heart. You know, even just the folding the palms together at the heart is also in those opening postures or sequences as a particular arm movement. Yeah, and I'll talk about that some today. So when you have your hands together at your heart, sure, it's partly a symbolic gesture, right? That we're recognizing our essential self, the connection with the divine, and the essential self of others, right? Arun would talk about that when he would come here to teach us. But also you can use it as a, let's say, a prop to get more lift and opening in the chest. So lift that sternum up into the thumbs. Okay? You really feel that the sternum lifts and the trapezius releases away from the neck. And also with your arms, from your elbow, press through the palms and use your forearms to lift the rib cage up even more. And then you'll feel a broadness come across the collarbones and a release coming down into the base of the neck. Keep doing that. Keep it particularly extending from the elbow through the wrist bone and lifting the sternum up into the chest. And so you feel that upliftment from the outside creates additional inner spaciousness. And then turn your awareness to your breath. And as you inhale, make yourself taller from the tailbone all the way up through the head. As you exhale, move the prana, the energy of the breath, outward toward your side ribs and armpits. Inhale, make yourself tall. Exhale, make yourself broad. Inhale, extend yourself. Exhale, expand yourself. Use the breath to create even more additional spaciousness inside. Really excavating and finding that inner landscape of you, the domain of yoga. Then turn your awareness to the exhalation itself. Follow the exhalation with your mind. Like it's a pathway or a thread that you can follow from the outer world and all that goes on in the external circumstance of our life to the inner world, that inner landscape of you, the domain of yoga. Use your exhalations to take your awareness there. Particularly focus on that pause that occurs after each exhalation and let the mind take on the qualities of that pause so that the mind becomes more serene, more sattvic, more still. And from that still place within, let's chant 3 Ms together. Follow that sound with your mind. Follow the reverberation of the sound with your mind. And from that space, inhale once more. Keeping your chest well lifted and broad, bring your chin down to your chest, your hands down to your thighs with your palms up. And then raise your head and open your eyes. All right, not in the sequence, but just let's stretch your arms out in front of you, interlace your fingers and turn your palms toward me. Extend from the elbows through the wrist bones in order to get your arms straighter. And pull your little pinkies back toward your face so that you hopefully tuck the outer shoulder blades in a little bit more. Then reach your arms all the way up above your head. Okay, so Veerabhadrasana or Parvatasana and Swastikasana. Extend from the elbows through the wrist bones. Really reach up so much that you feel that abdomen drawing in toward, along with the length in the sides of the torso. Now keep that length in the sides of the torso. Notice which finger you have on top. And then bring your hands all the way back down and put them into Namaskar Asana again. And use the thumbs to lift up through the sternum once more. Then switch the grip of your fingers and turn your fingers out, or palms out. Extend from the elbows through the wrist bones, and then reach your arms all the way up toward the ceiling. Keep extending from the knee through the inner heel, pull the feet against each other, and then really lift up. Firmness in the base, but reach up into the air element so you feel that sides of the torso really get long. Feel that abdomen draw in toward the spine. Nice straight arms. That looks really good, Melinda. Suck your elbows in a little bit more. Right. And then feel that length of the sides of the torso, the drawing in of the abdomen. And again, release your hands down and draw your hands into Namaskar Asana again. Push your thumbs against your sternum and your sternum up into your thumbs so that trapezius releases away from the neck. All right, stretch your legs out into Dandasana again. Flex your hands. Get your leg actions going. Draw your big toes together. Spread your other foot. Pull the little toe up into the outer hips. And really push down with your hands so you get a lift up into the sides of the torso. There are many things that I've really been learning about or seeing in a new way from working with these sequences. And one of them is the work of the arms. Okay, so here you basically got the Tadasana shape of the arms, except you've got the flex of the wrist. Okay. Dandasana is implicitly in this sequence because you do it to get into Navasana. Right, then cross your legs the opposite way. And be with the little toe side of the foot very firmly on the floor. To do that, you have to draw from the inner knee through the inner heel, but energetically pull your feet toward each other so you feel that firmness come into the outer hips. All right, start off at Namaskar Asana again. Push your thumbs into your sternum and lift your sternum up into your thumbs. Okay. And stretch your arms out and hook your thumbs against each other. Pull your thumbs against each other and stretch through all of your fingers, particularly the ring fingers. Pull the thumbs against each other and reach your arms all the way up above your head. Right, so the wrists aren't involved here. It's nice work for the thumbs. But pull the thumbs against each other, stretch up through the ring fingers, really feel that abdomen draw in toward the spine. Make yourself tall. Looks really good, everyone. Pull a little bit more. Notice which thumb you've got on top. Release your arms out to your sides like you're doing a standing pose, and then bring your arms out back into Namaskar Asana again. Really push your thumbs into your sternum, but even more importantly, lift your sternum up into your thumbs. Extend from the elbows through the heel of your hand again, and switch the cross of your thumbs. Pull your thumbs against each other. Make sure you're still energetically pulling through your feet against each other. Pull your thumbs against each other as you reach your arms all the way up above your head. Keep pulling the thumbs against each other and reach the arms up. Feel that drawing in of the abdomen. So you should lift up so much that you feel the abdomen draw in and out. Okay. A little bit the work of the legs is also giving you Mula Bandha. Okay. But when you lift the arms up, you get that Uddiyana Bandha feeling. Keep pulling the thumbs against each other. Lift up one more time, or reach your arms out so they're wide like Trikonasana. Keep that width and the opening in the chest, and bring your arms into Namaskar Asana one more time. Extend from the elbows through the wrist bones so that the heel of the hand really gets pushed close together. Push your thumb into your sternum and lift up the sternum into the thumbs so you feel the trapezius release away from the neck. All right, and then stretch your legs out into Dandasana again. That's join your big toes, spread your other toes wide apart, draw up from the little toe side of the foot into the outer hip, and push down with those hands and lift up into the armpits. All right, and then go ahead and stand up. So I think Vicky last week when she was studying did the consolidation week sequence with you. And what I take the consolidation week of week 7 to mean is you would have put Tadasana and Rikshasana back into the sequence. So I'm going to go ahead and add that into week 8. But also just an occasion to think about all that we have learned from doing the 7 weeks of poses in the back of Light on Yoga. Okay. And then we've got week 8. Okay. So we've kind of made it, I think, through the first grouping of poses, right? So he did 6 weeks of poses. Then you have a week that he says to consolidate and learn how to stay longer. Okay? So I take this week 8 as really the next little pod, okay, of poses that we're going to learn. Okay? And in that next pod, like I said, it's Veerabhadrasana 3 and Artichondrasana, which is poses that are additional balance on one leg. But also think about all of this as a preparation to doing Shirshasana. Okay? And in Veerabhadrasana 3, one leg's in the air, Artichondrasana, one leg's in the air. So it's basically teaching you the leg actions that you need to work with when you're upside down in Shirshasana. That's the other thing I've kind of taken from this. I think I've mentioned this in classes before, but the other thing I've really noticed in working with these sequences is how he takes the arms through all of their ranges of motion. The neck goes through a huge range of motion. There's twisting action and there's strong work in the legs. Okay, so here we are in Tadasana. So join your big toes together, spread your other toes wide apart. Lift your quadriceps and your inner thighs. Move each individual buttock toward the heels. Lift up into the armpits, roll the shoulder bones back, bring your shoulder blades in, away from the neck and into the center of the body and up a little bit so your chest gets really lifted and broad. Now stretch through your ring fingers really strongly. Okay? So make your hands be active. You can spread your palms. It's fine to do that at first. And it's nice to do because you can get opening in the hands, but then join your fingers together and join your thumbs against your fingers and stretch as much as you can through the ring fingers, and you'll feel your tricep muscles draw into the bone. Okay, so that's one position of the arms. Okay. Then the second pose in the book and the second pose in the sequence from last week is Rikshasana. So how he teaches it in Light on Yoga is bringing the hands again into that Namaskar Asana action. Okay. So we've got straight arms in Tadasana. Then we've got bent arms, but you still have to really extend from the elbows through the wrist bones. Keep extending from the elbows through the wrist bones as you reach your arms all the way up into Ardha Navasana. Again, and lift up so much that you feel that abdomen draw all the way into the spine. And bring your hands out like you're doing Trikonasana, and then bring your hands down to your sides again to Tadasana. Turn your right leg out. Lift your right leg up. Place your heel high on your thigh. If you need to hold on to something like I am, you can go ahead and do that. So here I got the first balancing pose, second pose in the book. We're going to do 2 more one-legged poses today, so which is why I was going back to this. Okay. Push your heel on your thigh, heel into the thigh into the heel. Lift up well into the chest. Bring your hands into Namaskar Asana. Really extend from the elbow through the wrist bones and push your palms against each other. Particularly push the heel of your hand against each other. Keep pushing the heel of the hand against each other as you reach your arms all the way up above your head. And reach them up again so much that you feel that drawing in of the abdomen. And so it's not just the work of the arms, but it should have an effect and feeling that you're getting this nice extension in the lower abdomen. Okay. All right, then Ardha Navasana Asana with your hands, Trikonasana with your arms. Go ahead and come back into Namaskar Asana with your arms, lift the chest well, and bring the foot back down into Tadasana. And then bring your arms back down into Dandasana. So it's all this beautiful range of motion of all the limbs of the body, kind of like Shiva and the cosmic dance, right? Okay, turn your left leg out. Lift your leg up. Place your heel as high on your thigh as you can. So here we are. We've got the balancing on one leg, and we're going to add 2 new poses in this sequence that balances on one leg. All right, then Namaskar Asana with your hands. Really lift the sternum up into the thumbs, but also really extend from the elbows through the wrist bone so you really feel the heel of the hand come together. Keep pressing the heel of the hands against each other as you reach your arms all the way up into Namaskar Asana, Ardha Navasana. And keep doing that so much that you feel that lift, the Uddiyana Bandha coming into the abdomen and the length in the sides of the armpits. Maintain that as you bring your arms out into the Trikonasana shape, back into the Namaskar Asana shape. Lift your chest up into your thumbs. Bring your leg down and bring your hands down and come back into Tadasana. All right, then if you want to use blocks for Trikonasana in your standing poses, you can go ahead and get them. I'll just go ahead and have mine handy. Okay, so now we're in the week 8 sequence proper. Okay, all of that was, let's say, consolidation work or preparation work. So week 8, the first pose, like the preceding weeks, is Trikonasana. So walk your feet out wide. Spread your toes like you were doing in Dandasana and lift your quadriceps well. Right, and then stretch your arms out at your sides. Turn your palms up and reach your arms way, way up into Namaskar Asana again. And lift up so much that you feel that abdomen draw in toward the spine and the opening in the armpits. Maintain that as you bring your arms all the way out to the sides. Then turn your right toes out, left leg in. Here's a little bit of the twisting thing. The torso wants to go with the leg, so you have to turn the torso away from that leg. Yeah. Press into your back heel, reach out with your right arm, turn your torso toward the screen as you bring your hand down to your shin or to the bricks. And then extend from the tailbone through the head and turn your head to look up toward the ceiling. Press into your back heel, come all the way up, turn your feet back to the center. Spread your toes well and lift through the quadriceps and the inner thighs. Turn your palms up and reach your arms up into Ardha Navasana again. Lift up so much that you feel that abdomen drawing toward the spine. Maintain that as you bring your arms down into Trikonasana shape again. Turn your legs. Torso, notice that the torso wants to untwist and go with the legs. So you have to turn. It's the beginning of the open twisting work right here. Turn your torso away from the legs. Press into your back heel, reach out with your front arm, keep turning your torso toward the screen as you bring your hand down to your shin. Lengthen from the tailbone through the head and turn your torso, turn the torso, but also turn the head. So these twisting dimensions also are a really interesting part of these sequences. Right, and then come all the way back up to the center. Turn your feet back and then walk your feet back into Tadasana again. So Tadasana arms, really work your Tadasana arms, Namaskar Asana arms, Ardha Namaskar Asana arms, Trikonasana arms, back to Tadasana arms. All right, so we're gonna work a little bit more, getting just a little bit more twisting in Trikonasana. So walk your feet out wide again. I'm gonna move my mat just a little bit. So Tadasana, walk your feet out wide. Namaskar Asana arms, Ardha Namaskar Asana arms, Trikonasana arms, turn your legs, turn your torso back toward the screen, reach out, bring your hand down to the shin, see if you can get a little bit lower, lengthen from the tailbone through the head. This time bring your hand down to your hip with your elbow bent, pull the elbow down to the floor so your torso turns even more, let your head turn even more, pull the elbow down toward the floor again, then reach your arm all the way up. Press into your back heel, extend through the front ring finger and come all the way back up. Turn your feet back to the center. Swing your arms into Namaskar Asana. Push with the heels, lift your arms up into Ardha Namaskar Asana. Reach your arms out into Trikonasana. Turn your legs, and turn your torso away from your legs. Press into your back heel, reach out with your front arm and bring your hand down to your shin. Turn the torso away from the screen. Bring your hand down to your hip and pull the elbow down and get even more turn. Okay? And the turn even really comes into the head. Lengthen from the tailbone through the head and pull one more time with the elbow. Then finish the pose and reach your arm all the way up. Nice adaptation for some. These are looking good, everyone. Our hard work is paying off and beautiful fluid poses. All right, and then go ahead and come back into Dandasana. So Parsvakonasana is kind of an interesting thing to think about in terms of the extension of the arms, okay? Because partly it's got the Trikonasana, but you actually reach the arm even further. Okay? So go ahead and reach your right arm up and take your wrist with your hand and pull that arm up even more. So now you should not only feel the Uddiyana Bandha, but hopefully you'll feel also just more of a lift right in that side of the pelvic bone. And then go ahead and tip over a little bit. So you press into your heel, tip over, but keep pulling with your hand. You're really getting that Parsvakonasana feeling in the sides of the torso. Looks really great modification. Now, as you come all the way up, pull even more. So you come back to the center. Switch hands, press into your heel and lift up even more. Right, then tip over and keep pulling with your arms so you feel that extension in the sides of the torso. Keep pulling with your arm as you bring your hand all the way back up. Then come back into Trikonasana hands, and then back into Tadasana hands. Okay, Parsvakonasana. So stand with your feet out wide again. Namaskar Asana with your hands, Ardha Namaskar Asana with your hands, Trikonasana with your arms. Turn your legs, turn the torso away from the legs, bend the knee to form the square, turn the torso away from the leg again. Put your elbow on your knee, place your other hand on your hip. Sit low, roll your elbow back toward the wall behind you so you get that turn even here. Pull the elbow back so you get even more turning. The head kind of turns automatically now. Slide your hand down to the inside of the knee. Then stretch your arm out and pretend you had your other hand that you could still pull on that wrist bone. So you really get that extension through the side of the torso and sit low. And pass back into Vira 2. Come back up like you're going to do Trikonasana. Straighten your legs and walk your legs out. And stand into Dandasana here. All right, second side, walk or step your feet out wide. Parsvakonasana with the elbow help of the thigh. Namaskar Asana with your hands. Ardha Namaskar Asana with your arms. Feel that upliftment of the Uddiyana Bandha. Arms out like for Trikonasana. Turn your legs, but turn your torso away from your legs. Press your heel into the floor with both heels. Sit low, turn the torso back. Bring the elbow down and your hand onto your hip. Sit lower, but lift up out of that work of the elbow. Roll the forearm back so you get more external rotation and turn of the torso. Sit lower, pull the elbow back and turn more, turn your head, then add the Parsvakonasana. Oh, slide your arm down to your foot. Sorry, I forgot that. And pretend you've got a third hand that really can pull that wrist. Press into your back heel and pull with the wrist and turn still more. Come into Veerabhadrasana 2. Back to Parsvadhita Hasta Padasana. Turn your feet and walk your feet in. Yeah, so Trikonasana, Parsvakonasana, they're just omnipresent in these sequences. So the straight leg external rotation, the bent leg external rotation, the arms out, okay, but also that stretch of the arm and the side of the body. Okay, so that bears great fruit in a lot of poses that come later. Okay, let's try the classic pose of Parsvakonasana. Okay. So walk your feet out wide or jump. You're always welcome to jump. Okay. Particularly if you're wanting it to be like a more aerobic experience, you know, then you can jump and get a little bit more elevation in the chest. All right, so Namaskar Asana with your hands, Ardha Namaskar Asana with your arms, feel that Uddiyana Bandha, arms out at your side like Trikonasana, turn your leg, turn your torso away from your leg, bend your knee, bring the hand down to the floor or a brick behind you, and then just make a big swoop with your arm. Sit low, press into your back heel, extend through your ring finger, pretend that someone actually is pulling your arm forward, and as they pull the arm more, turn more. Come back into Veerabhadrasana 2. Straighten your leg, just for the heck of it. This time, tip back into Trikonasana. Get another standing pose in. Then come all the way back up. Turn your feet. Namaskar Asana with your arms. Ardha Namaskar Asana with your arms. Trikonasana with your arms. Turn your legs. Turn your torso away from your legs. Bend your knee. Bring your hand down to the back of the leg. Using a brick or going to the floor. Sit low and turn your torso away from your leg. Reach your arm up. Reach to the ring fingers. Imaginary hand pulling on your arm. Turn even more the more you pull through your arm. Come back up into Veera 2. Straighten your leg. Come back into Trikonasana. Come all the way back up. Turn your feet and walk your feet in. Be in Tadasana. Okay. So here, the next set of poses are all three of the Veerabhadrasanas, right? There's Veerabhadrasana 1, Veerabhadrasana 2, which we've been doing, but then he adds in Veerabhadrasana 3. Okay. So then we'll spend some time. We'll go ahead and do all three of them just really quickly, and then we'll spend some time unpacking Veerabhadrasana 3. All right. So this is another one. It starts in Namaskar Asana. Then he lifts the arms up into Ardha Namaskar Asana. Then you walk your feet out wide or jump. And lift up even more so you feel that Uddiyana Bandha coming. Turn your torso to face toward that leg. And here's another element of twisting. This time the torso wants to turn toward the back leg, but you want to turn it toward the front leg. Okay, so this is the beginning of closed twisting work right here. Okay. Open twisting work has been in all the other poses. Bend the knee and sit low. Reach and look upward toward the sky and sit lower still. Okay. Come into Veerabhadrasana 2, just turning to the front of the screen. Then turn back to Veerabhadrasana 1. Press into your back heel. That person, you're probably just going to hold on to the chair and support your foot. And then stretch out if you can into Veerabhadrasana 3. There you go. From yeah, actually the Artichondrasana probably would just be better. So if you want to put your back against the wall. Yeah. And then come out of the pose. Yeah, so Veera 3, a lot of you are kind of doing Artichondrasana instead of Veera 3. Veera 3, he said the abdomen really rests on the thigh. Okay. We'll work on it again in a second, but just let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so walk your feet out wide. Rikshasana, Namaskar Asana arms, Ardha Namaskar Asana arms, stretch your arms out. Okay. Sorry, did that wrong. Keep your arms up. Turn. Okay. Okay, so now you have to turn that whole torso toward the front leg. Bend your leg like Veerabhadrasana 1. Look up toward the ceiling. All right. Then go ahead and just from here, the legs don't actually change that much, but swing your torso back to Veerabhadrasana 2. Okay. Then swing back to Veerabhadrasana 1. Okay. Then you have to reach forward, rest your abdomen on your thigh. He says, take 2 breaths, and then launch yourself forward into Veerabhadrasana 3. Then from Vera 3, come back to Vera 1, straighten the leg, turn back, and then come all the way back to the center. Okay. All right, so Vera 3 is a tough pose. Okay. One of the things I've picked up also just working with this sequence is Veerabhadrasana 3, you could just think of it as an extension of Veerabhadrasana 1. Right? Artichondrasana, you could think of as an extension of Trikonasana. Okay, so it's just Trikonasana or Vera 1 going into the air element. But let's just for a moment, not even a moment, we'll do it a little while longer. Take the balance out of the equation for Vera 3. Grab a chair, or if you don't have a chair, you can put your hands at the wall. For me personally, in my height, the chair itself is just fine. Because when I put my hands on the chair, my abdomen is completely level with the floor. But if you're taller, you might need to build up some more height, okay, on the chair. So you might need to put a couple blankets on the chair. Okay. All right. Trying to think about what, Kristen, you could do Supta Rikshasana 2, or also I think you could do just this part and it would probably be okay. But I've also seen just various ways that it can be supported, like with your back thigh, but you do it feels relevant to you. Okay, so we're going to come down here, and I have the middle of my forehead middle of my forearms on the chair. I'm making a box with my leg, with my body and the floor. Now, and then look forward with your heads, your thoracic spine's coming in. Okay, so now we basically got most of Veerabhadrasana 3 going on here. And then the next thing we have to add is stretch your right leg back. Now, everything that you would do in Shirshasana or your leg actions, okay, you're learning or applying here with your right leg up in the air. Okay, lift the leg up a little higher, Pratima. Okay, so extend lower the hip a little bit, Karen. Lift the leg up a lot higher if you can, Marcia. Really extend back through that leg. That looks beautiful, Kristen. Very, very good. Okay, so it's a inversion leg. Okay, Cliff, that looks good. Nice, Bob. Good work. Bring the leg back down. Okay, so here you are, and then go ahead and just stand up and take a little breather. It's hard work. Right. Okay, everyone looks like they have pretty good height here. Yeah, I noticed a couple of you that you're pulling the chair back. It ended up getting pulled back towards you. So when you're extending with your arms, I mean, if you want it to be really stable, you could put the chair against like a wall, but you're not pulling back on the chair. You're reaching forward with your hands. And then you're stretching back with that leg. And it's really take advantage of it being in the air element so you can engage the quadricep more. You can lift through the inner thigh more. You can pull from the little toe side of the foot more. A little bit more lift backward, Pratima. Very good. It's hard work, even just with the chair, right? Second side, switch legs if you haven't. Okay. So that's Veerabhadrasana 3. With the support of the chair. All right, and then go ahead and come all the way up. I think he even says this in Latin Yoga. He says that really Veerabhadrasana 3 is just an extension of Vera 1. Okay, and with that, and then it actually then for many people extends even further forward into like Urdhva Prasarita Ekapadasana, where you hold on to one leg and lift the other leg up into the sky. Okay, so that you could think of that as like a three-arm progression. Okay, so I've got that chair there just to help me when I reach forward. I'm going to still put my hands on the chair. Okay. So take a big step forward with your right leg, step backward with your left leg. Turn the torso to face toward the front leg. Okay. You can keep your hands on your hips for now. Bend the knee to form a square. Okay. Reach your arms up into Veerabhadrasana 1 and look up toward the ceiling. Okay. Then you have to fold forward. And you have to kind of get the setup just right where you can actually rest. You take a little bit of the support of the chair. Take a couple of breaths here, he says. And then taking that breath, I think one of the things you're doing is drawing the abdomen in toward the spine to help with balance. And then can you just slide forward into Veerabhadrasana 3? The pelvis should really still be in Tadasana. Then go ahead and come back to Veerabhadrasana 1, slide back into Veerabhadrasana 2, and come out of the pose. Okay. Tough pose. And let's do the second side. Yeah. So I was a little far away when I started. So left foot forward, right leg back. Turn your torso away from the back leg. Place your hands at your torso, at the hips, and then stretch your arms all the way up. Bend the knee to form the square. Look up toward the ceiling. Now really extend forward. So as you're folding forward, reach and reach and reach toward that chair. Okay. Level your hips. Take a couple of breaths, he says. Draw that abdomen in toward the spine to help with the balance, and then slide yourself forward into Veerabhadrasana 3. Really work the body of the legs. Nice. Okay, good job. Then come back to Veera 1. You can add in a Veera 2 if you want, and then come back to Tadasana. All right, so that's the new thing in week 8, or one of the new things in week 8 is Veera 3. Hard work. Okay. The other thing that's new in week 8 comes now in the sequence, which is Artichondrasana. So another balancing on one leg pose. We could use a chair actually for Artichondrasana. But let's try it just from Trikonasana, and then we'll do it supported just to give ourselves some work with balance. I'm going to use a small half brick. But Artichondrasana comes from Trikonasana. Okay, so here we've got Trikonasana. Turn your legs, turn your torso, bring your hand down to the floor, okay, and place your hand on your hip. Okay. Then there's this really interesting stage, if you were to look at the picture in the book, where he bends the knee, and the knee actually, you might move the back foot in, the knee goes forward of the foot. Yeah. So, and then he's really turned in this stage, particularly his head. His head is really turning and looking toward the ceiling. Okay. Then walk your foot in a little bit more, walk the hand forward, keep turning as much as you can toward the ceiling, and then lift off, and then keep your hand at your side. That's how he does it in Light Yoga. So you've got a Tadasana arm right here. Really extend through your aerial leg. Then back to Trikonasana. Whoops. And then come all the way back up. Turn your feet and walk your feet in. And so I've shared with you about this many times, but Lori's not the only person I've heard this from, but she's the first person that I heard it from, is if there's a picture in the book on Light and Yoga, even as a stage of the pose, it's worth practicing in its own right. Okay. So you've got Trikonasana, but you've also got this stage right here, okay, where his knee is really going forward. And the torso is really, really turned, and the head is really turned. The neck is really, 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 really turned toward the ceiling. We tend to look at the floor thinking it'll help with balance, but instead look toward the ceiling and see about coming all the way up into Artichondrasana. And hand at your side like Tadasana. Good. Lift the leg a little bit more, Marcia. Then release and come down into the pose. All right, since I'm actually here teaching in my yoga room where I have wall space, let's do Artichondrasana with the support of the wall, okay, or the back of the body. Okay. You can also put support of the back leg if you wanted to with the chair. Okay, so you can have it very, so in fact, we'll go ahead and do that. We can have it very supported. Okay, so I've got my chair for my back leg. You have to be a little careful getting into it, but here's the general idea. My back is completely against the wall. Okay. I put the brick on the floor, and then I put my leg on the chair. So now balance really should not be much of a challenge, okay, because your torso, but the wall also tells you how much you need to turn the torso. Because really the torso should be completely against the wall. Okay. So both shoulders should feel the same against the wall. I've got my little rope wall here, but makes it even easier. But really also, now that you're not having to worry about balance, how much can you turn your head to look toward the ceiling? Okay. And that turn, think about Trikonasana. Remember how we have to turn the torso, turn the ribs, turn the head. And here you are. That looks good, everyone. Then be careful getting out of the pose. And then come all the way out. Good. All right, then do the second side. You have to turn your chair the opposite way. Get your brick. Have your hip near the wall. Your standing leg is straight. Hoist your leg up onto the chair if you can. So you've partly got the support of the wall for balance. It's nice. But also it gives you feedback again about how much that torso needs to turn. Okay? So turn the torso away from the leg. Turn the head to look up toward the ceiling. If you want to add your arm into the Trikonasana part of the arm, feel free to do so. Nice turn of the neck, everyone. And then bring your arm down. Get your leg out of the way. And go ahead and come all the way up and come back into Dandasana. So, you know, it's just interesting thinking about how to put poses together in little grouplets, let's say. Because we've got Rikshasana standing on one leg. Then we've got Veerabhadrasana 3 standing on one leg. And then you've got Artichondrasana standing on one leg. So in this sequence, we've got 3 big one leg balancing poses. So he's introducing more and more balancing. In the previous weeks, he's added in the abdominal work. Since we're all at the wall, let's go ahead and just do Parivita Trikonasana at the wall. Okay. So stand with your a little bit away from the wall. You can do more like Parajottanasana, Kristen, and not twist as much. All right. Then walk your feet out wide. Okay. Then turn toward the right. So your right hip is going to be pretty much at the wall or about a brick distance away from the wall. Then from that rib cage, turn. And then you're going to come into Parivita Trikonasana, turning away from the wall. Turning toward the wall. And then come all the way back up. Nice, that was good turning. Come all the way up. Switch your brick if you're only using one. Next week, just foreshadowing, not even foreshadowing, just telling you. One of the things that gets added in is Parivita Parajvakanasana. Yeah. Hard pose. Yeah. It's added in week 9. So we've had 2 whole months of preparation before he adds in Parivita Parajvakanasana. But he's added in Parivita Trikonasana earlier, right? I think like week 4. Okay. So we get 4 weeks of Parivita Trikonasana to prepare us for Parivita Parajvakanasana. So I'm hopeful that when we actually get to that pose next week, it's going to be easier than usual. Okay, because I've noticed really that my, go ahead and turn and come into the pose. I have noticed that my Parivita Trikonasana has gotten a lot better doing it regularly with y'all and in the classes. Really let that rib cage turn. and then come all the way back up. So that's using Parivrtta Trikonasana, turning toward the wall. There's also a version of the pose where you turn away from the wall. Okay. So you're going to be going to the same side you just did, okay, but your other leg is going to be in front. Okay. So I'm not going to mirror you. And my left leg is in front and my right leg is back. Okay. Straighten my, I have to see, I can see, oh, I need to straighten my back leg here. Okay. Then you bring your hand down to the brick. It can stay on the inside of the foot or you can move it to the outside of the foot. But now turn your torso back toward the wall. Okay. So you're turning away from the wall for Parivrtta Trikonasana. And if you are near a rope wall, you can use the rope to turn your torso even more. Now extend from the tailbone through the head and turn the head even more. Parivrtta Trikonasana, turning away from the wall. And come all the way up. And we have to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so it's going to be your right foot forward and your left foot back. Then bring your left arm down, either on the little toe side of the foot, or you can, or on the big toe side of the foot. Either will work. Lengthen from the tailbone through the head and really turn and rotate. And then bring your arm up. Extend from the tailbone through the head. And then really use your arms to reach away from each other and rotate that rib cage. Parivrtta Trikonasana. Right. And then come all the way up. Turn your feet back to the center and stand into Dandasana. All right. Then the next pose, which we've had from the very beginning. And so that's interesting to think about too, like which are the poses that were way back in week 1? Okay. This one, Parivrtta Trikonasana. So before we do it, let's just think about it in terms of the arm work. Okay, so you've got your arms at your side in Tadasana. Okay. We added Namaskar Asana. We added Ardha Namaskar Asana. We added Trikonasana with the arms. And then swing your arms back behind you, okay, into Ardha Namaskar Asana. Sorry, Paschimma Namaskar Asana. They're back. Now remember when I said extend from the elbows through the wrist bones. Do that here too. Even if the heel of your hand doesn't touch, just still really extend from the elbows through the wrist bones so that here you are. So the arms go through really pretty much every range of motion. Okay. The only thing that's missing is the Gomukhana, the arms above the head in the bent in the overhead plane, but we actually get that in Ardha Navasana. Okay. So that's actually in there too. Okay. But just go ahead and reach your arm up, bend the elbow like you're gonna do Gomukhana, walk your hand down, and then just put your hand back behind your head. Okay. And that's Navasana work for the arm. And do the same thing with the other arm. Reach the arm up, turn, wiggle your fingers down your shoulder blade a little bit, bent arm, place your hand on your head. Then you can add the other arm. Okay. So here's Ardha Navasana arms, Shirshasana arms. Okay. Then back into Tadasana arms, Namaskar Asana arms, Ardha Namaskar Asana arms, Trikonasana arms, Paschimma Namaskar Asana arms. Then extend from the elbows through the wrist bones so the heel of the hand really gets pushed together. Then slide your hands back for Sarvangasana arms. Back behind you. Pull your elbows toward each other so your chest lifts. Bring your chin down to your chest so you're here in Sarvangasana, upside down. Okay, good. And then reach your arms back at your side at Tadasana. Okay. Put your back left heel against the wall and your front right leg out. You don't have to use the wall. I just happen to have the wall here, so I'm taking advantage of it. Make that back leg strong. That's another big thing in these sequences. 0-1, Parivrtta Trikonasana, Ardha. All of that is the back leg. Swing your arms into Namaskar Asana. Another big thing in these sequences, there's this upward arching back. Arch back, almost like you're trying to get your head to go to the wall. Press the heel, the elbow to the heel of the hand and reach forward. Hold forward with your chest, chin lifted. Then let your head release down and extend more. Lift your chin a little bit and extend more. Extend down and lift more. And then come all the way back up. Release your arms. Draw your leg together. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So right leg back with your heel at the wall. Left foot forward. Swing your arms back into Namaskar Asana. Extend from the elbow through the palm. Keep your back leg strong. Press into your heel as you reach up towards the ceiling. Use your forearm to level out the chest. And straighten your back. Keep your back leg straight. Fold forward into Artichondrasana. Keep your chin lifted at first. Then let your head hang. Then lift your chin. Let your head hang. Lift your chin. Let your head hang. And then come all the way back up. And then release. And then stand with rest. All right. For Sarvangasana. So step or jump your feet out wide. Spread your toes. Lift your quadriceps and place your hands on your hips. Pull your elbows back so the shoulder blades go onto the back and your collarbones work. There's another one where there's this big standing back arch. So you're really opening the front of the body. Then fold forward, nice person, and then bring your hands down just into the stage where your hands are right underneath your shoulders. So push the wrist down if you can and look forward, and you've still got that big extension in the front body. Then, if you can, walk your hands back where they're in line with your feet. Even if the wrists aren't going to the floor, can you extend them to the floor and still look forward? So then you've got the concave back stage. And then just go ahead and come up. So the first part for Artichondrasana, the front body is really open and expanded. But the second part, or the next stage of Artichondrasana, you're really doing Ardha Navasana with your abdomen. So the pubis and the navel really come toward each other. So we're getting way, way, way open first, but then there's a lot of abdominal contraction in this pose. So pull your elbows back. Take advantage of really getting that extension in the front body. It really feels quite nice and lovely as we're looking up towards the ceiling. And keeping the legs strong, keeping the sides of the torso long and the front of the body long. Go ahead and come into the second stage. They can bypass the first stage. And the torso is still really long. But then when you go into the final stage, you actually have to really contract the abdomen and bring the back of the head toward the floor. And the abdomen is really working hard. It's doing Ardha Navasana. And then come back into the concave stage and lengthen out the abdomen. Let's do that 2 more times. So you've got concave stage, and you've got Ardha Navasana stage. You've got concave stage, you've got Ardha Navasana stage. Then you got concave stage. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, wiggle your feet in. Come all the way back up, and stand in Tadasana. And bring your hands at your head. Kristen, if you want to do, we're getting ready to do the little abdominal work. So if you want to do like a Sukhasana on the bolster, that might be a really good option. All right, so then we're going to do the 3 abdominal poses that we've been working on for the last 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is, I think, our 4th week of doing the abdominal work. So yes, and to think about too. He adds that in pretty early. So go ahead and be on the floor. I have my knees bent just for right now. Have your knees bent, but bring your legs together. Pull on the sticky mat with your hands so that you can really feel that lower back. It's not like it goes, for most people, it's not going to go completely flat on the floor, and it might with your knees bent. Okay. So my lower back is I would say at this juncture, flat on the floor. But it's because my knees are bent and I'm pulling with my hands to get that movement. But when I'm doing that, I think even more than the lower back extension, what feels really nice is that when the lower back is nice and extended like this, you feel that Uddiyana Bandha in the abdomen just quite naturally. Now it's a little harder to do with straight legs. But let's just keep pulling on your sticky mat and stretch one leg out. And you can keep it some, but there's going to be a little bit more curve in the abdomen. And the leg is curve in the lumbar, and then stretch the other leg out. So you aren't going to get the same flatness of the lower back that you do with bent legs. But squeeze your legs together and keep pulling on the sticky out of your hands. But as you reach your legs up to 30 to 60 to 90, and maybe even go a little past 90, then you do have that lower back feeling of being quote unquote flat on the floor. And there's that same abdominal contraction, right? Okay, so keep pulling on the sticky mat with your hands and then just bend your knees to come out of the pose. So when the knees are bent, it's pretty easy, particularly if you've got your arms there, but let's try it now, arms above the head. So can you, with your knees bent, and spread together, yes, the lower back is pretty much flat on the floor, but even more importantly, when you stretch your arms, you should feel the Uddiyana Bandha coming into the abdomen. Now, can you keep that to any degree as you stretch one leg out? So you may have to really extend through the arms to get that extension through the legs. Keep extending through the arms as you extend the other leg out. Okay. So definitely for me, I have lost some of quote unquote that flatness against the back. That's fine, but my energetic movement, the buttocks are still moving toward the heels, and I'm still feeling the abdomen draw in toward the spine. Squeeze your legs together, and you come into 30, 60, 90, then I've got my lower back on the floor, and particularly if I go even a little bit further from 90, like I was going to roll all the way into Halasana, then I've got really long lower back extension. So I guess my point in all of that is it's not like you're exactly trying to always keep the back in this point that you are in with the legs bent, but even, I've got a lot of lower back curve. So I have to work really hard to make it be anywhere near flat. So what I've really enjoyed about this Ardha Padasana work from the floor particularly is it's really helped me think about lengthening that lower back as I bring my legs all the way up. And eventually it does go into like Ardha Mukha Paschimottanasana too. So that's Ardha Padasana. Then go ahead and sit yourself back up and be in Dandasana. So this is another, to me, interesting little progression of poses. You've got Trikonasana goes into Artichondrasana. You've got Veerabhadrasana 1 goes into Veerabhadrasana 3. You've got Dandasana goes into Navasana. So you have to do Dandasana in order to do Navasana. So from Dandasana, extend your legs, reach your arms out straight, come onto your sitting bones and lift your legs up where they're level with your above your head is actually what he says. So really engage those quadriceps as much as you can, and then lower yourself back down. Little bit less rounding in the lower back pratyahara. A little bit more. You're almost doing like Ardha Navasana in your lower back, which so a little bit more lift in the chest. Okay, but there's also Ardha Navasana, which we'll do next. All right, so remember the arm action we talked about earlier. Now, before you roll backward, lift up with the sides of the torso. Bring your elbows in closer, so like they're doing Shirshasana, that's the lower active. And so you get length first, and then you actually make your lower back even rounder as you roll back onto the sacrum. And here's Prasarada Padottanasana in your abdomen, And then lift your feet up where they're level with your head. And then come all the way back up. Yeah, that's it, Melinda. Then lift your, yes, then lift your legs up. That's good. Okay. All right, second side. What do you mean second side? Switch the grip of your fingers. All right, so we've got the head position here. Elbows are like they are in Shavasana. I'm actually pulling up on my skull. So I'm really lengthening as much as I can the lower back, getting it, the whole torso spine getting straight. But then as I round back, I have to squeeze my legs together, but the Artichondrasana, then I'm on my sacrum, and then I just lift my legs up where they're level with the head. And here my legs are in the air element again. And then come back to the center. Good, Bob. Nice. All right, downward facing dog, everyone. Not in the sequence, but to me, that's interesting too. I mean, I think it's a super, super important pose, but you know, we're 8 weeks into these sequences and you actually haven't put downward facing dog in yet, but do a downward facing dog. Notice the effect that all of the poses that we've done have on your nice downward facing dog. The palms feel really connected with the floor, the heels feel really connected. Then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back and come all the way up. All right, set up for whatever you do when headstand comes around. Okay. And headstand is still 4 weeks away in the actual, no, even more weeks away in the actual sequences, but we all are doing headstand pretty regularly. So again, I don't want to skip it. I think all of these poses are preparatory, okay, for headstand. And that's another just big, huge thing I've gotten out of taking us through this work. So it's not going to be preparatory maybe for us, but they are in a different way. What does your headstand feel like after this work? Walk your feet in a little bit more, Chaya, so your shoulders get right over your elbows. For me, it feels really light. My legs feel like they've gone together. My abdomen's drawing in toward the spine really well. Now, think also of the 2 new poses that we had this week. Be sure if you're doing a prep, be sure to come down and rest. But Veerabhadrasana 3, right? So what if you bring your right leg down halfway to the floor? Or parallel, aren't you doing Vira 3 with your legs while you're in Shirshasana, right? Then bring the right leg back up. That's it, Chaya, very good. All right, and then bring the leg halfway down. And here we've got Vira 3, right? Really work the legs. Then think about Artichondrasana. Turn your right leg out, bring it halfway down. And Artichondrasana. And you can do the same thing on the other side. Turn the leg, bring it halfway down. And so you've got the beginnings not only of the, and you can just come back and be in Shirshasana, not only of Shirshasana itself when you're working the single leg. Oh, wow, that looks really good. Good, good, Cliff. Good, Melinda. Nice. These look good, everyone. Okay. All righty. You okay, Laura? You need to do some twists or something for your lower back? All right. Then go ahead and come down, rest in child's pose. If you can come down again 2 legs at a time, go ahead and do so. And everyone come into Ardha Navasana. Or downward facing dog with your hands in the chair, Kristen, might be better for you. Nice. All right, set up for shoulder stand or whatever you do instead of shoulder stand. That could be legs up the wall pose. That could be Satubandha off of a bolster or Satubandha on a brick. Or it could be chair shoulder stand, or it could be classic shoulder stand. Shoulder stand is another pose that's in week 1. So we're 8 weeks in. Okay, so from the beginning, shoulder stand is there. Or something in the shoulder stand family. It's like another way of thinking about plans of poses. What are poses that get you? What's the biggest thing about shoulder stand? It's the Jalandhara Bandha. It's the arms behind the back, more or less, and the legs up in the air. So make that setup for yourself, whatever you're gonna do. And again, it can just be legs up the wall pose. It can be shoulder stand on the chair. Nice, Bob. It can be full on shoulder stand, the whole thing. I think you have it backward. You don't want your head on sticky mat. You want your head either on the floor or the blanket. Yeah, there, yeah. Then flip, oh, I see. Then flip your blankets though, so that the folded edge is going toward me now. Yeah, that's it. And if you want blanket for your head, pull the blankets all the way up to the edge of the sticky mat. That's it. Good. There you go. That's it. That's the setup. Chaya, a little bit your legs are going toward that, to the right a little bit too much. Move them to other way. Other way, move your legs. There you go. And then, yeah, there you go. Good. That's a little bit too much. That's it. Nice, Marsha. Good, Laura. Just come into your Sarvangasana. I know it takes a lot of setup. I'm not doing it myself, partly because I have a virgin class coming up, so I'll do it then. And also it's the pose where I like to watch you. Yeah, and really reach up the legs. Okay, now those of you who are in Sarvangasana, okay, bring the right leg down halfway and lift your left leg way up toward the ceiling. So you've got Veerabhadrasana 1 situation again, right? Really straighten both legs. And use that extended left leg to lift yourself up even higher. And bring your right leg back up. And walk your hands lower on your back if you need to. And then bring the other leg down halfway. Okay, so it's just a reinforcement of Veerabhadrasana 1. You can do the side one, Chaya, absolutely. That's right, exactly right. Okay. If you're in legs up the wall pose, you can practice the side off to the side, the Artichondrasana. All right, then bring the leg all the way back up. Good leg work, Karen. All right, then turn the right leg out and bring it halfway down. But really keep lifting up through your left leg. Like, it's like it's the standing pose, that you're standing in. And then bring all the way up. That's it, Gay and Cliff, very good. And then bring it back up. And then come all the way up. Nice continuation, Laura. Okay. And second side. Okay, so Artichondrasana prepares for Parja Ekapada. Rikshasana, Parja Ekapada, Sarvangasana. All right, everyone bring yourself legs back up. Okay. Bring your feet down to the floor, a chair for Halasana. Okay. And now you've got that back rounding situation again. So think Prasarda Padottanasana. Think Artichondrasana, particularly if you walk your feet out a little bit further. And as you lower your back down to the floor, it's really like a reverse Ardha Prasarda Padasana, right? So you're lowering that leg all the way back down to the floor. And then set up for Shavasana. I'm gonna say, because we're gonna do a little bit of pranayama, what I would suggest is take one blanket, fold it in thirds, so you have a little bit of chest support, and then you have a little bit of head support for you also. So make a setup that's something like this. a little bit of spine-wise support for your chest, spine. And then because you're supporting the head, chest, you need to support the head. And then go ahead and lie down on the floor for Shavasana. And this did actually get added in a week 6. I just forgot to do it until I was noticing in a week 8. But he suggests doing some Ujjayi pranayama. He does not actually specify which Ujjayi. Okay? So there are lots of options. I mean, it's clearly Ujjayi 1, 2, 3, or 4 because you're supine. Okay? So that what does that mean? Okay. It means maybe what feels appropriate to you in this final Shavasana is simply to watch your breath. Observe your inhalations and observe your exhalations. It may be because of all of the arm work that we've done that you feel, oh, I can really increase my inhalations. And that would be Ujjayi 3. It may be because of all the abdominal work that we've done. You might feel that your abdomen nicely draws in toward the spine and you can prolong your exhalation a little bit. It may be that you could prolong both the inhalations and the exhalations and do just a few cycles of Ujjayi 4. So those are the options. Just do what comes to you. And do 3 of whatever Ujjayis you want to do. Active watching, prolonging the inhalation, or prolonging the exhalation, or doing both. And then after you've done those 3, stop. Okay, and just be in Shavasana. In the book, he actually says to do it for 5 minutes, but you know, you're practicing at home. I find it's a good room. I've definitely during the time of pandemic had an ongoing challenge to really carve out the space of pranayama like I used to. Been able to carve out the asana much more easily. I mean, I'm still doing it, but it's been more of a pandemic challenge for me. But so this is a nice reminder that, you know, you don't have to have this whole big separate pranayama practice to do pranayama. You can just do a few ujjayis at the end of your asana practice while you're in Shavasana. All right, and place your hands together, place your hands at your heart, bend your knees, roll over to your right side, and use your hands to push yourself up. Sit up straight and tall. Hold your palms together at your heart, and close your eyes. Observe the effect that your practice has on you. Observe it on every layer of your being, from the physical to the most deeply spiritual. In gratitude, the benefit you receive from your practice of yoga, and gratitude the people that you have the opportunity to learn and study and practice yoga with. And in gratitude to the lineage of Hatha Yoga itself, was practiced by B.K.S. Iyengar, reaching back to the sages of India, and down through a line of teachers and students to you, here on the mat, in Austin, Texas, Paris, France, wherever you happen to be in the world through the miracle of Zoom. Namaste. Good job, everyone. It's good to see you.
And